Okay, good evening, everybody. This is the June the 11th Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting, and thanks for everybody coming tonight. We're going to call the meeting to order, and I'm going to ask Alderman Barnhill to offer an invocation, and I'll lead the Pledge of Allegiance after that.
Heavenly Father, we again tonight come to you in prayer. Thank you for this great nation that we live in, for all the freedoms that we have, for all the many comforts that we have. We give you thanks for these. We also give you thanks. We ask your blessings upon those who protect these freedoms, whether they're soldiers, the first-time responders, whomever. We ask that you be with them, be with their families. We also ask your blessings upon each of us tonight as we make decisions that will affect the direction in which the city will go. Give us spiritual wisdom and guidance. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, you may be seated, and next is an opportunity for citizen comments that are on items that are not on the agenda. I have no speaker cards, so I don't see anybody rushing up. We'll move on to communications from the Williamson County Commission, and I'm not aware of any. So we'll go straight to item number 1, which is approval of the minutes from the work session of May 28th and the Board of Mayor and Alderman, same date.
So moved.
Appropriate motion by Alderman
Second.
Peterson, seconded by the Vice Mayor. Any discussion? Seeing none, you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. We're next going to go to a presentation by Franklin tomorrow, and Walk More with the Mayor and Get Fit Franklin. So Stacy Davis is here, and she's going to make a presentation and tell you what the presentation's all about.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Moore. Hi, I'm Stacy Davis, and this is Amy Safel, and we're here representing Get Fit Franklin, which is the health and wellness arm of Franklin Tomorrow. Recently, I'm sure you all remember, you participated in the Mayor's Challenge for the Alderman Ward Walk-Off. And first, I'd like to say thank you for presenting this challenge, Mayor Moore. And secondly, thank you to all of you for your enthusiasm and your support, not only to come out and do this initiative, but also your support for the continued wellness and health of our community. Tonight, we are here to present the trophies to the winners of the Ward Pair. So we have 2 trophies for you guys.
The shoe that fell off.
Yes. I know you all want to take it home. But before we give the awards, I do have a couple of honorable mentions that we have to kind of address first, because we were all very impressed with the show, like how you guys showed up and showed out. So, for the most challenging route award, we're giving that to Alderman Berger and Barnhill, because you guys had a big hill that we had to walk up. That was hard.
I cheated.
And we had to do it
I
twice.
cheated.
Yeah. Y'all had the most elevation gain for sure.
Yeah. Here you go, Clyde. All right.
We had one group that really had to defeat the heat, because it was temperatures way in the 90s on the day of their walk. And so Alderman Speedy and Peterson, thank you for sweating it out with us. For our best guided tour, we had Alderman McClendon and Bransford. Dana gave us a great tour as we walked through Fieldstone subdivision, showing us the tunnels and the beautiful paved walkways there, so thank you. And then we had a Most Canine Companions Award, because Alderman Martin and Blanton had the most dogs that came to the walk as we went through downtown. So that was exciting to see. But I know you all are, and we also have an honorable mention for Best Dressed. Eric Stuckey came out in his suit for all of you. So thank you.
That was us. Or you went everywhere. You went
So,
everywhere in your suit.
so I know you're all on pins and needles of who won, and so the winners of this year's, the inaugural Mayor's Challenge Alderman Ward Walk-Off is Alderman Blanton and Alderman Martin.
Ah.
So don't worry, we have 2.
Is that, who let the dogs
Oh,
out?
the engraving is absolutely
Yes, I
fantastic.
know,
The
yeah.
dogs. Did you
It's
count
very
those
fancy.
dogs?
You and Amy present those.
Okay, here's one.
Brandy, did you count those dogs? Did you count those dogs? Put them together and there you can walk.
Spray paint.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
So the next item that I have tonight is referring to the purple bag that's up at my chair. And if you'll look carefully at many of the people here tonight, they have on purple ribbons. And this is to bring awareness to Alzheimer's Awareness Month. We have two ladies in our community, Cassie Jones and Laura Musgrave, that have been very active in raising awareness in our community about Alzheimer's and how it affects patients, but also how it's also affects the families. They've carried this here, they've carried it to the county, they've been at the state legislature, and also in Washington in Congress. So we're wearing these ribbons tonight to raise awareness and appreciate everybody cooperating. So the next thing will be a presentation. I want to ask Daniel Santiago and Kane McCandless to come up to accept a proclamation on behalf of the Sanitary Environmental Services. And so here we go. Good. Kane, and this is Daniel.
Yes, sir.
So whereas the nation celebrates the week of June 17th as National Garbage Man Day, and whereas according to the Center of Disease Control, the eradication of many diseases in the Western world is due in large part to higher public sanitation standards resulting from effective garbage disposal, and whereas the men and women employed by the refuse collection and hauling industry in the community make significant contributions to the safety, health, and welfare of citizens, and whereas the proper collection and disposal of waste and recyclables is vital to preventing disease, litter, and dump heaps, and whereas refuge haulers contribute to tidy and clean community, and whereas the City of Franklin values and celebrates hundreds of trash collectors, dumpster haulers, sewage workers, street cleaners, and all others employed in the sanitation industry to serve residents and local businesses, now therefore be it resolved that I, Dr. Ken Moore, hereby proclaim the week of June 17th as National Garbage Man Week and encourage all citizens and local businesses to participate in opportunities to thank the men and women in the sanitation industry. We're going to get a picture of them, too.
So as you're taking this picture, we just did a citizen survey, and one of our most highly rated departments was our sanitation and environmental services. So our citizens notice it, and these folks touch every household every week. They help our citizens every week, and they do a great, great job. So we really appreciate it. I'll be up there dressed up as Buddy Bluebag.
Okay, next is the Government Financial Officers Association Distinguished Budget Presentation Award, and Michael Walters Young will make his way up as we make this presentation, whereas of the Government Finance Officers Association's Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. It's the 7th consecutive, 11th. Yeah, I need to read what I've got written down. It's the 11th consecutive Distinguished Budget Presentation Award that the City of Franklin has received. And it's awarded to those upper echelon municipalities who merit proficient or outstanding marks on 27 different categories from a 3-member panel of budget reviewers. The City of Franklin scored perfect marks for our presentation of revenues and departmental budgets, and the city was rated proficient on all 4 major aspects of the budget: policy document, financial plan, operations guide, and as a communications device. So, congratulations to everybody that helped make that happen. And I guess we need to get a picture.
We can?
Correct.
Sure.
So I'm going to go back to the podium now, and I think Mr. Stuckey has several announcements.
And you touched on it already with your recognition of the work we do with sanitation and environmental services. That also extends to the great work we do in water management. And we just so happen to have what you would call an unscheduled review of our operations of our wastewater or water reclamation facility. They were kind enough to schedule it on the day of the State of the City when we were thinking about other things. But the good thing is, we may not have known they were coming, but we were ready, because we're always ready. And we strive to do that. And I'll just read the 2 sentences at the end of the conclusion of this report that reviewed both our water reclamation facility and our collection system wide. And they said the Franklin Water Reclamation Facility is well operated and well maintained. Personnel are conscientious and are continuously working towards optimizing plant operations for greater nutrient removal. The collection system is well maintained. And then it also concludes by saying no violations were observed during the course of our inspection. As such, no response is required at this time. So it's essentially a recognition of the great work our people do every day, 24/7, to operate a high-level, high-performing water reclamation operation. So great job by them. So I don't want to leave out the other side of the water equation. So we've done the water reclamation side. I want to talk about drinking water just real quickly. Later this month, we will release the Consumer Confidence Report, which is a required report of all water utilities, and it shows full compliance with all elements of the drinking water system and a high performance there as well. I highlight that for you especially because from time to time, and this just doesn't happen in Franklin, it happens in cities across the country, you will see businesses that they claim to be water testing ads. You'll see them online, you'll see them on Facebook, and they will sometimes pull information and try to raise some fear or concerns about what's going on the drinking water side in a given city. So we see those from time to time, and they try to usually use some scare tactics, quite frankly. And so we want to highlight just the high performance, the fact that we meet and exceed, go beyond the standards that are given to us by state and federal regulators. And in fact, that one of the latest ads we saw conveniently cuts off the headers on our report so that you can't tell that it's showing that we're in compliance with every single element of our drinking water system. So I want to compliment those folks for the fine work they do. We operate a state-of-the-art water treatment plant out on Lewisburg. We upgraded that just in the last couple years. And other water utility that serves our area, Harpeth Valley Utility District, treats water at a very high level. They pull from the Cumberland River and it's pumped down here. So both our own water treatment and the HVUD system operate also at a very high level. So I want the drinking water folks to get their props too. So you'll see that report, but they're doing a great job. So thank you.
I think Alderman Blanton has a miscellaneous report.
I just want to acknowledge Carrie Bartlett, who has been with us. She's been in my world for the last 7 years. I don't know how long she's been covering BOM. I would say probably 5. But she will be starting a new job on Monday, which will take her away from covering the city. And I know from working with her that she has always been fair, thorough, dedicated, and present. And I just think in a world where media changes all the time, I know I'm going to miss her presence here and her trust how she gets our stories told. So I just want to thank you and acknowledge you.
And I believe she'll still be vested though, isn't she in the latest
She's
Leadership
going to
Franklin
another
class?
media opportunity, but I think her beat's going to be education, if I'm not correct. She'll be at the Tennessean, so.
Okay,
Calling you already.
good luck on that, Carrie. We're now going to move to the consent agenda, and all items on the consent agenda are deemed to be non-controversial and routine in nature by the governing body. And tonight we'll be considering items number 21 through 36. So I would consider a motion.
So move.
Appropriate motion.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Berger. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. We'll now go to item number 4, which is consideration of initiating the de-annexation process for the de-annexation of certain areas adjacent to Murfreesboro Road, specifically 4113 Murfreesboro Road. This has been deferred several times, and if I'm not mistaken, the property owner has now asked that it be totally withdrawn.
That's correct. We received a communication from Mr. and Mrs. Mizell requesting that this be withdrawn.
So we need a motion to withdraw this item.
So move.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Bransford. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 5, this is a public hearing, consideration of ordinance 2019-05, an ordinance to rezone 4.82 acres from light industrial district and neighborhood commercial to general commercial district for the property located at the northwest corner of Downs Boulevard and Columbia Avenue, 1504, 1536, and 1540 Columbia Avenue. Amy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. These properties are located in the northwest corner of the intersection of Downs Boulevard and Columbia Avenue. The current zoning for these parcels is general commercial, light industrial, and neighborhood commercial. The requested zoning for all multiple parcels is general commercial. This area is within the neighborhood mixed-use design concept of Envision Franklin. Therefore, a general commercial zoning would be supported. Further, this area is also within the Columbia Avenue overlay, which will dictate a building placement and layout that supports a pedestrian environment. Staff recommends approval.
Does anyone want to speak to this body? Seeing no one, I close the public hearing now and consider a motion.
Move for approval.
Appropriate motion by
Second.
Alderman Bransford, seconded by Alderman Peterson. Any
Mr. Mayor,
discussion?
I would note that Alderman Blanton has recused herself and left the room.
Thanks for alerting me. So, ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7 with 1 recusal. Next, we'll go to item number 6, which is a public hearing, consideration of ordinance 2019-07, an ordinance to rezone 14.88 acres from specific developmental variety district to specific developmental variety district 2.02/95,618 district for the property located at the northeast corner of Murfreesboro Road and Chester Stevens Court, 300 Celebration Circle, Silver Grace PUD subdivision, Fountains of Franklin. Wow.
It's a mouthful, yes. Just to refresh everyone's memory, this PUD was approved in 2009. The zoning is being updated to accurately reflect the assisted living facility as an institutional use rather than a residential one. It's also updating to address the addition of an assisted living space and to establish the residential density. The total residential unit count remains the same in that 3 single-family lots are being reassigned as cottage units. So staff recommends approval of the rezoning.
Does anyone want to speak to this body? Not, I'm going to declare the public hearing closed. Entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Appropriate motion by Alderman, seconded by Alderman Martin. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 7, this is a public hearing. Consideration resolution 2019-28, a resolution approving a revised development plan for Silver Grace PUD subdivision for the property located at the northeast corner of Murfreesboro Road and Chester Stevens Court.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I said with the previous item, the total residential unit count in the PUD remains the same. The changes are that the 3 residential units that were facing Chester Stevens Road will now change to 4 cottage units, similar to the cottage units that exist today on the property. They're also proposing a memory care expansion to the main living facility. The expansion is internal to the site, and these uses are supported within Envision Franklin's multifamily residential design concept. Therefore, staff is recommending approval with conditions.
Does anyone want to speak to this body? Seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Appropriate motion, seconded by Alderman Peterson. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 8, this is a public hearing. Consideration ordinance 2019-08, an ordinance to rezone .58 acres from Civic Institutional District to General Commercial District for the property located at 420 Bridge Street.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This area of this property is located within the Fifth Avenue North design concept as outlined in Envision Franklin, which supports the proposed zoning of GC. It would allow for local commercial uses, professional and transitional offices to extend the vibrant downtown core to this established corridor. The adjacent property at the corner of Bridge Street and Fifth Avenue North is already zoned GC. Also, if you can notice on the map, all other properties within the Fifth Avenue North design concept are also zoned GC. No corresponding site plan or development plan for the property has been submitted at this time, but staff does recommend approval.
Does anyone want to speak to this body? Seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Appropriate motion.
Second.
Seconded by the vice mayor. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 9, this is a public hearing. Consideration ordinance 2019-10, an ordinance to rezone 22.04 acres from General Commercial District to Pacific Developmental Variety District and rezone 5.15 acres from General Commercial District to Civic Institutional District for the properties located south of McEwen Drive and west of Carruthers Parkway, Arium PUD subdivision.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, to clarify, this rezoning has 2 properties involved. The larger one will be requesting a rezoning to SDX. The smaller one, which is adjacent to Huffines Ridge, is requesting a CI zoning. The smaller parcel is intended to be used as part of the PUD development plan's requirement for parkland dedication and tree canopy preservation. In terms of the larger parcel, the mix of uses and proposed design within the PUD following this item would be supported by the regional commerce design concept, thus supporting the specific zoning, rezoning request. The parcel within the 5-acre parcel, which is in the conservation design concept, and the plan for the park, which would limit disturbance to the land, would reach the goal of conservation. Under a separate agreement, BOMA will be reviewing the proposed recreational improvements to the area, which could connect this area with adjacent approved parkland improvements. The separate agreement and CI zoning do comply with the conservation design concept. Therefore, staff recommends approval of both rezonings.
Does anyone want to speak to this body? Seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Appropriate motion by the vice mayor, seconded by Alderman Blanton. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 10, it's a public hearing, consideration resolution 2019-31, a resolution approving a development plan for Arium PUD subdivision with 2 modification of standards, request 1 roof forms and 2 retaining wall materials for the property located south of East McEwen Drive and west of Carruthers Parkway.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before I forget, I want to clarify that the second modification request has been withdrawn by the applicant, so we'll just consider one tonight. Envision Franklin recommends a regional commerce design concept for this parcel, the majority of this parcel. We already talked about the second one, which is under conservation. Regional commerce supports integrated designs with coordinated access, amenities, and cohesive architecture that fits within the context of the corridor. It supports a design where buildings frame and define the street to create an active street environment that encourages pedestrian activity. Multifamily is encouraged within these designs to help support the walkable neighborhoods. Those first floors should be activated with commercial spaces and amenities. The proposed design is a mix of hotel, office, retail, and restaurant, and 480 multifamily units. The layout utilizes shallow setbacks along its internal streets and activates the ground floor of the buildings. It has purposeful pedestrian areas to help pull through the site and give them multiple areas to rest and play. The architecture of the buildings is within the context of other mixed-use properties in this vicinity. It takes steps to shield its parking, and it transitions in height from the north to the south. In terms of modification of standard request number 1, roof forms. City of Franklin zoning ordinance 5.3.5 EI specifies that attached residential structures shall incorporate roof pitches between 312 and 1212. The applicant has requested all residential structures have flat roof to achieve an urban form consistent with the building heights proposed in this development. Staff finds that flat roofs are appropriate in the context of this development because of the adjacent developments that already have flat roofs. Therefore, staff recommends approval of modification of standards 1 and recommends approval with conditions of the development plan.
And for clarification, retaining wall materials, that's been
It
withdrawn.
has been withdrawn.
Okay. Anyone want to speak to this body? If not, I declare the public hearing closed. Would entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Blanton. So we'll now go to modification of standards 1, roof forms.
Move for approval of modification standards. Second.
Seconded by Alderman Bransford. Any discussion? Alderman Berger.
Question, the flat roof on this, is that similar to the roofs in the area you said? But is that Lifetime, Franklin Park? What?
Franklin Park, the residential units have flat roofs there. I believe they were also proposed for Apex Village, which is catty corner to this. It's not yet built yet, but approved with flat roofs.
Okay.
So,
Any other comments or questions? So you ready to vote on the modification of standard? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. We'll now take up the motion, original motion. You ready to vote on it? No. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. We'll now move on to item number 11, consideration of road impact fee offset agreement, City of Franklin contract number 2019-0178 for the REM PUD subdivision with South Star LLC for arterial roadway improvements to McEwen Drive and Carruthers Parkway. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Appropriate motion by Alderman
Second.
Blanton, seconded by Alderman Berger. Any discussion? Seeing none, ready to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 12, consideration City of Franklin contract number 2019-0122, Parkland Construction and Dedication Agreement between the City of Franklin and SSCH Franklin LLC, the REM Development. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Appropriate motion by Alderman Bransford,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Peterson. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 13, this is a public hearing, consideration ordinance 2019-17, an ordinance to adopt a budget for fiscal year 2019-20. I think Mr. Stuckey is going to...
I would like to give you a brief presentation. This presentation will cover your next 3 items, really, in terms of the 3 public hearings that are upcoming, both the adoption of the fiscal year 2020 budget, the establishment of the fiscal year 2020 property tax rate, and then finally the revenue and expenditure estimates for the operation of your water and sanitary sewer utility. So I'm going to go through fairly quickly here, about 20 slides that give an overview of really the budget overall and how it addresses those 3 public hearings. So first of all, this is a budget process that starts every year, really before the end of the calendar year. We bring it to the Budget and Finance Committee beginning in December and January with initial revenue estimates and budget goals. And then through the months of February, March, and April, each of the individual departments get an opportunity to talk to you about their needs, their accomplishments, and what they see in the upcoming budget. And then in the first Friday in May, I submit to you my recommended budget on behalf of your staff team. So when we build a budget and when we run a city operation and look at our community needs, we've established these 3 pillars that focus on managing a high-performing public service entity and city government that provides high level of service to our citizens and provides the avenue for delivery of those services and the look at the needs of our community long term. We take pride in the community development, a focus on attracting high-quality development and high-quality jobs to our community to make us economically vibrant and to support our community and our citizens. And then the foundation of it all, a sound financial base that we exemplify good long-term planning, and what we frequently look at is the AAA bond rating that we've been able to obtain from both Moody's and Standard & Poor's. So this is a focus that we use throughout our budget, throughout all of our operations. We have the Franklin Forward Strategic Plan that was adopted about 5-6 years ago that focuses on 4 primary themes in our strategic plan, being safe, clean, livable city, high-quality life experiences, effective, fiscally sound city government, providing high-quality services, and sustainable growth and economic prosperity. Everything we do, we try to tie to 1, 2, 3, or even 4 of these elements, and we measure extensively our workload, our performance on 60-plus different measures across these different elements and across all of our city operations. We establish, as I say, budget goals every year. They're numerous, but they fall into these main points one way or another in terms of maintaining services, investing in our future, and maintaining the unique quality that is Franklin, Tennessee. Just looking at the high-level numbers, our general fund budget is just under $74 million, $73.8 million. That's actually down about 1% from the budget that you have today. The all funds, so everything all encompassing that budget, is at $160.8 million, which is just under 1% growth from the current year budget. When we turn to highlights, of course, this budget is balanced. Current revenues match expenditures, and then we are in compliance with your policies related to debt and fund reserves, and we have maintained the property tax rate again this year, one of the lowest property tax rates for a city our size in the state of Tennessee and in the United States. But we also have within that property tax rate, we've maintained the dime of property tax that it supports our Invest Franklin initiatives, which brings important infrastructure projects forward and also supports the need for operations. When you look at this budget, probably the biggest headline is the addition of 10 positions across the organization to meet service needs of a growing community. Specifically, I'd highlight we're adding 3 police officers to serve us and help with our patrol and operations area. We have targeted positions added in areas that are working hard on delivering those capital investment projects, be it engineering, streets, our administration, and also in information technologies and purchasing. We're also enhancing our staff there. We have a general pay increase for our employee team. It's similar to what we've done the last 3 years. Provides for a general pay increase of 2.5%, and then a second component that is driven by performance by our employees that can go anywhere from 0.5%, additional 0.5% to an additional 2.5%. Within our primary benefits, the most important is always our health insurance area. We've been able to maintain very manageable growth for the first time in 2 years, an increase in our traditional plan at 2.5%. And just to put that in context, for the highest cost family plan in the traditional plan, that's about a $10 a month increase for our folks. So we're glad that remains pretty manageable in terms of an increase there. And then we have no increase in the new plan we brought on board this past year, a high deductible plan that is paired with a health savings account. We also have key investments within our needed equipment at about $2.7 million. So when you look at where the money comes from, again, we're driven primarily by sales tax at over 50% coming from that area. Shared taxes from the state, which is also largely comes from the sales tax redistributed to cities through the state at about 17%. And then you see the balance of property tax after we've met our general debt obligations at about 10.5%, and then anywhere between 6 to 4 to 3 to 1%, and the various categories of permits, licenses, fees, and increasing now for the first time in a long time in interest income. So when you break it down another way, almost 3/4 of this budget in our revenue comes from consumption-based taxes and fees. So that just highlights one of the sensitivities we have to economic slowdowns, and that's why we maintain a higher than normal fund reserve within our general fund to protect against economic swings that we might see. When you look at our expenditure categories and you look at the major functional areas, again, public safety drives our nearly $74 million general fund expenditure, police and fire accounting for 48% of our total expenditures. And then it's a pretty equal balance between our public works group and our areas of community development, community economic development, finance, administration areas. When you look at it by the expense categories, again, nearly 3/4 is in the personnel category. We deliver our services through our staff team, which numbers about 740 people today. One of the key revenues that we always look at is our comparison of property tax versus sales tax. You'll see that used to be far in excess of 2 to 1. It's a little less than that. It's a little more closer to 60-40 sales tax to property tax, but we are highly dependent on that element. This next slide, I just would highlight to you where we are in fund balance, which we're projecting to come in at just under $49.5 million at the end of this year. Again, a very strong level of fund balance, well in excess of your policy guidelines, but an important component to make sure we can sustain services over the long haul. One of the things we did unique in this budget that we have touched on but not taken to this level is a 5-year outlook. So it not only encompasses the 1-year budget that you're looking at, but gives you a 5-year outlook of where we are and can we sustain what we're bringing forward in this budget, but also what capacity do we have to meet future needs. And as every department came forward, they presented an outlook to you about what their needs were in the next 3 to 5 years. So we've brought that all together to give you a look at both revenue and expenditure projections over the next 5 years. This first chart shows the revenues, general revenue increases in terms of standard revenues around a 3% growth rate. There are 2 different elements that cause a bump up in revenues in the 5-year horizon. In year 3, which is fiscal year 2022, the additional sales tax that has been dedicated to public schools for the initial 3 years will start to come back to the city of Franklin. And so you'll see that gives us a little step in terms of increased revenue. For planning purposes, we've only allocated half of that funding to our operations. The other half we've included in our capital project funding. So this only represents that half going to operations when you look at our 5-year outlook. Similarly, when you look at year 5, we have the revenue from the existing TIF district in the McEwen area, often called the Nissan TIF. That's the mile radius around the McEwen I-65 interchange, that will have retired its debt and begin to pay property tax back into the general fund. And again, we use that same 50-50 allocation, 50% to operations, 50% to capital investment. So you see another bump projected revenue in year 5. When you look at the expenditure side, we took the different estimates that departments gave us. We project in the 5-year window somewhere around 27 new positions needed to meet service needs of our growing community, and all sorts of different areas, as you might imagine. Of course, police, fire, public works, parks will all be part of that. when you look at the collective end result over that 5-year projections, it shows we remain strong. We remain to have the capacity we need to support our operations and the needs of a growing community, and still maintain a very healthy fund balance, which gives you some capacity to look at other needs that may arise in that time frame, as well as potentially support other capital investments. I'm going to briefly go through some key highlights in other funds. In the Stormwater Fund, we've allocated about $2.5 million of remaining capital project funding. You will determine that use through your capital investment prioritization process, which is ongoing right now. In sanitation, there is no fee increase, and there's also no general fund subsidy in this budget. And actually, I'm proud to tell you the 2019 budget shows and projections show no general fund subsidy in this year as well, which is a great achievement. 11 years ago, we were putting about $4.5 million of general fund subsidy into that fund. So this also provides funding for the conversion to the rollout containers for recycling in January of 2020. Within hotel motel, we have significant funding capacity as we see continued solid growth and revenue there for some potential capital investment funding, especially in parks. It's been a good funding source there. Within the various other development funds, things like our city facilities tax, road impact, parkland dedication, there's also some capacity there to pay for already approved projects like Fire Station 7 and other parks improvements. But there's also capacity there for your emerging priorities in the 2019-2028 CIP process. So as we go through the year, we're going to amend our budget to allow for the projects that you approve and identify as priorities in the next few months. Within water and wastewater, again, we're performing well. The already approved rate structure will remain, so there's no need for additional action on rates. There will be an inflation level rate increase of 2.9% in water and 3.5% in wastewater on January 1. And again, you've already made those approvals. So just to conclude, we're meeting our budget goals, our budget priorities. Invest Franklin continues to be a primary focus to fund infrastructure investment and the operational needs for our community. And we're proud to have the enhancements that are in place here that we've approved or are recommending to you for approval tonight. I want to thank our city team. This takes every department and folks from all across the organization that contributed to it. Especially want to thank Michael Walters-Young, who was recognized earlier as part of our budget award, our 11th consecutive year of getting that award. The assistant city administrators, the HR team, all provide really vital support in making these decisions and making these recommendations to you. Of course, our finance team, and again, everybody across the organization really makes it happen. So that concludes my presentation of the fiscal year 2020 budget to you. So glad to take any questions and glad to recommend this and move forward.
Are there any public comments? Seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed. Would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Appropriate motion by the vice mayor, seconded by a crowd. And I think it was, I'll attribute it to Alderman Peterson. So any discussion? You ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item 14 is consideration ordinance 2019-18, an ordinance to establish a property tax rate for FY 2019 to 20.
Public hearing.
Yeah, this is a public hearing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that-
I was looking for somebody to say something.
What I said before.
So the property tax is staying the same.
Yes.
So does
41
anybody
cents.
want to speak this body? If not, I declare the public hearing closed. We'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Appropriate motion by the vice mayor, seconded by Alderman Blanton. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item 15, this is a public hearing, consideration resolution 2019-45. A resolution adopting the estimate of revenues and expenditures for the water and sanitary sewer utility fund for FY 2019 to 20 and providing an effective date. Anyone want to speak to this body? Seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Appropriate motion by Alderman Bransford,
Second.
second by Alderman Berger. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 16, this is a public hearing, consideration ordinance 2019-16, fourth quarter 2019 budget amendments. Anyone want to speak to this body? Seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion?
So moves.
Appropriate motion by the vice mayor, seconded by Alderman Berger. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank goodness the public hearings are over. Item 17, consideration of City of Franklin contract number 2019-0180 with Cornucopia Consulting Group for leadership development training in an amount of $39,150.
Move for approval.
Appropriate motion, seconded by Alderman Bransford. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 18, consideration ordinance 2019-14, an ordinance to create Title IX, Chapter 11 of the Franklin Municipal Code, establishing regulations for operating a mobile food vending business within the city of Franklin, Tennessee.
Move for approval.
Appropriate motion by Alderman Berger. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman
Right.
Bransford.
Mr. Mayor, I have some
Alderman Berger.
amendments I'd like to offer. I think you all have a copy of that, right? Y'all got your copy. And you want to pass this down, this is Eric could talk about.
I'd ask that, I notice you have two, if you'd make each one separate.
Yes, I will. Motion, First Amendment, I'd like to make a motion, you'll see it on your sheet, requesting staff to modify proposed ordinance 2019-14 to allow location-specific permit issued to private owners whose property is located within the city floodway, fringe overlay district, and/or the floodway overlay district. The licensed mobile food vendor agreed that the city has the right to require the movement of their mobile food vending vehicle or trailer and any other associated structures or furnishings should the city determine that its presence is a threat to public safety during or due to possible flooding.
Is there
That's my
a
first
second
motion.
to the amendment?
Second.
Appropriate motion, and second to the amendment. We'll just now discuss that particular amendment. Do you have any comment, Alderman Berger?
No, well, yes, we met with Vernon and the assistant city administrator and Eric as well, and just looked this over, talked with Shauna about this. We're trying to get this as good as we can to really accommodate the mobile food vendors and the needs, and to use the fringe and floodways properly, where people can move and actually get out, and they are all mobile, and be able to do that. This would also include alerting via our city alerts that we have when there are floods and everything. People would be having to pay attention to that as well. So that is encompasses the First Amendment.
Any other comments on the amendment? Mr. Stuckey?
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we were talking about whenever they have Eat the Street there, the Bicentennial Park, really floodplain area, turns out to be a really good place. Of course, they're just there that day.
Yeah. Right.
But
These are mobile.
The only comment I have is the very last phrase, due to possible flooding. That is the primary thing we think of because of allowing it in the floodplain. There might be other incidents of concern
True.
that we might want to be able to ask folks to move. You could have some other situation where you want folks to move out of an area.
Like construction.
Severe winds or straight line winds or a
sure,
tornado or
sure.
whatever,
All right.
There could be other circumstances for public safety. So just limiting it to flooding might be.
All right, so we can, I'll strike that then, and it'll read, should the city determine that its presence is a threat to public safety. We'll just end it there.
Yeah.
Is that okay with that modification, Alderman McClendon?
Of course.
Okay.
Makes sense?
Any other discussion on the amendment? Alderman Martin?
I'm not sure, I really can't hear, I couldn't hear what Bev, everything she said, but
sorry.
where it talks about the other associated structures and furniture,
That's
I,
next.
I just feel like they need to move those things and not leave
That's
them
not the
out.
motion.
That,
That's not
she
the-
hasn't made that amendment yet, Alderman Martin.
No, she's looking at the first one.
First
She's
one.
looking at the first one.
Number
I'm
one.
looking at the first one, excuse me.
Well, it does say associated structures and furnishings.
I'll
The
do it.
licensed mobile food vendors agreed that the city has the right to require the movement of their mobile food vending vehicle, trailer, and any other associated structure furnishings should the city determine. Well, I mean just overnight. Even if they stay overnight, to move the stuff in and not leave the furniture all out in the, wherever they are.
May I
Is that the
clarify that?
second one?
May I clarify that?
No, it is the first one. You're correct. You're
Yes.
reading that correctly. So if you'll respond to her
Let
question
me,
to you
let me
about that.
clarify that. It is, I think we'll deal with that in the second one, but the first one is only dealing with that during, for public safety reason. So this is only dealing, that motion is only dealing with it for a public safety reason. The second motion will deal with it being left there for any extended period
Okay,
of time.
all right.
Okay?
Excuse me.
Any other discussion? You ready to vote on the amendment? All in favor of the amendment as put forward by Alderman Berger, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Alderman Berger, I'll now recognize you for apparently another amendment.
Yes, sir. Amendment number 2, a motion to request staff to modify proposed ordinance 2019-14 to allow signs, tables, chairs, steps, decks, and any other accessory items associated with mobile food vehicles staged on the property that is a valid, location-specific mobile food permit to remain in place while mobile food vehicle is not in operation, which includes allowing these accessories items to remain in place up to 72 hours when the mobile food vehicle temporarily leaves the property. And I'll speak to that further after a second.
Second.
Second by the Vice Mayor.
What that,
Alderman Berger.
what that means is that on occasion, even though this is permanent, where they can pick up and go, they may go out to an event, they may have other things going on. This is semi-permanent, but there would be an occasion where, from day to day, that they're using that spot, and they set up some picnic benches or an umbrella, and maybe, usually they have a trash can. But they're allowed to have that there in their semi-permanent location, but would have to move it if they, say, went off-site for like a week. Actually, it says 72 hours or more. So if they left the site and said they had a gig someplace for a week and they went off to do that, they would have to make sure they take the accessories with them. They couldn't have them stay there. Sometimes they'll take their Airstream in for maintenance, which sometimes the garage has to have it for a day or two, and that way they don't have to take everything with them. But if they're going to be gone from the site for an event, or they're having maintenance on their vehicle for a week or 3 or 4 days, then they would have to move the equipment outside. We won't allow them to leave it there because we don't want it to be abandoned. And we just thought that was a wise thing to do. And then why require them to pick it up and move it if they're just going to be gone 24 hours?
You have 72 here, not 24.
Yes, well, if it was 24 hours, and if it was 48 or something. So when we talked about it, Vernon had suggested 72, because sometimes they've got their vehicle in a garage and they try to pick it up by the first day, because they don't want to be out of business. They want to be there. So their intent is to be there and not to have the equipment hanging around by itself. That's not helping their business. They want to be back as quick as possible.
Okay, any other discussion on the second amendment to the original motion? Alderman Martin.
Well, I want to address a little bit more
Sure.
of that, though, because I don't think, just if they move the trailer away, and leave that there. I mean, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about overnight. To leave umbrellas and tables and chairs and garbage cans out because I don't, first of all, I don't think it's safe. And winds could come up in the night, blow the things away. Anyway, you do what you want to about it, but I'm not going to support that. I'm not going to support leaving them out overnight.
Any other comments before I go back? Alderman Bland?
I'm just not comfortable with 72 hours. I think that's too long. I mean, no offense, Vernon, but it would almost look like somebody robbed the trailer if you've got all this stuff sitting around the footprint where it would usually be. I mean, I get having to have something serviced, but 72 hours is a long time.
Are you offering an amendment?
It's a comment.
A comment, okay. Just want to make sure. Alderman McClendon.
Thank you.
I think that one of the concerns that I have is, I mean, we could debate the difference between 24 and 48 hours and all that, and reasonable people could disagree. I think my issue is really that if the vendor isn't there, it may be a good idea to require them to remove everything when they're not there, because that will have the necessary impact of limiting how much of these accoutrements they distribute throughout the property. We haven't, as far as I know, addressed how many tables and umbrellas and chairs and decks and all these other things that somebody could put out. So you could have a mobile vendor with, if they had sufficient space, putting out dozens of picnic tables. I would prefer that if they're not there, that they take what they otherwise use day to day and remove it with them, so that they cannot simply proliferate a large amount of accoutrements. And it might, there might be a better way to legislate this, but I'm uncomfortable with this motion to this amendment because it sounds like a really great way for somebody to get carried away and leave a lot of stuff strewn around in their absence for 2 or 3 days. You could theoretically have a mobile vendor decide to set up for 2 days at a time in 4 different locations and just rotate around and leave tables and chairs and umbrellas and everything else everywhere they go. So you could have 4 parking lots strewn with stuff under this amendment. And I'm not for that. If they're not there, they need to be not there.
Is that an amendment? Because I'll second it.
No, I'm just going to vote against this particular
You're
amendment.
copying me. Just a comment.
Well,
Other comments, Alderman Peterson?
We were talking here about, on the section 9-1105, it says that tables, chairs, temporary signage shall be stored indoors when not open for business for the ones that are not location specific.
Yes,
This
So-
amendment would
This is
allow that for the
location.
location specific.
yeah, this is only for locations.
Right, everything, the other ones that are not location specific would have to have everything taken indoors
Because they-
every day.
They go.
If I may, thank you, Mayor, add clarity. The ordinance as written requires both right now, that when they're not in operation, when not in operation, whether they come and leave the site daily or they're staged on a location-specific property, that when they're not open for business, they must store their tables, chairs, signage, et cetera. What I'm hearing is that there may be a desire for those mobile home vendors that are located on a location-specific property, as long as their vehicle is there, that the tables and chairs can stay outside. And that's what that second amendment would do. It was added at suggestion of Alderman Berger that if that vendor left for a day or two to go somewhere else, whether for servicing the vehicle or to a different site, that the tables and chairs would remain. Hopefully I've added
Yeah.
some
So-
clarity to what the ordinance currently reads to what
Alderman Berger.
So clarification then, so if we took that out and said that if they leave the site, they must take the ancillary items with them, is what I'm hearing you want? Okay. So in other words, if they have to take the mobile Airstream to the garage across the street from them, which they did, in this particular one I'm thinking about, and they're across the street for a day, they have to gather up their stuff and store it somewhere. Well, I personally am fine with that for 24 hours. I would rather put it down to 24 hours because sometimes are gone 12 hours, 6 hours. You might drop it off in the morning, pick it up at 4 o'clock, right across the street. It's sort of, I don't know, I don't know.
All right, I don't
Hard-
hear
a
any other
hardship on people to
amendments.
do it for 24 hours, but, I would prefer 24 hours. If somebody wants to make that motion, if not, you want to strike it, somebody needs to make a motion to strike the whole thing then.
I'll make
Yeah.
a motion to move it to 24 hours. I just don't, I think it's reasonable, and I don't want to put undue costs on these businesses if they got to get their vehicle serviced. I mean,
So you're amending the second amendment to read 24 hours rather than 72.
Yeah.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay, open for discussion, 24 hours.
The only thing that I was considering in this certain applicant is the fact that they have decking, and that would be hard to throw inside your whatever, so I get the 24 hours. I'm amenable to that.
Okay.
Okay, you ready to vote on the amendment to the second amendment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No,
Passes 7-1. Now we'll go to the amended second amendment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
no,
Passes 7-1. Now we'll go to the motion, the
What is
original
the
motion with the two amendments. Ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
no.
Passes 7-1. We'll now go to item 19. Consideration ordinance 2019-15, an ordinance amending the City of Franklin Municipal Code Appendix A, Comprehensive Fees and Penalties, Chapter 9, Business Peddlers, Solicitors, Taxi Cabs, Pool Rooms, Licensings, Pedicabs, et cetera, to establish a mobile food vending permit fee. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Seconded by the Vice Mayor. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 20 is appointment of Jenny Solagi to the Tree Commission as the Franklin Municipal Planning Commission representative.
Move for approval.
Seconded by Alderman Speedy. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. I need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Berger. All in favor say aye.
This thing is
Crazy. When they found out how to. Crazy flag. One of my talk about rockets. Oh, he can put his shoes on.